Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode from this series of the miracles of Jesus. And today we're going to talk about the miracle where Jesus turned water into wine from John chapter 2. In this story, we see that Jesus is with his disciples, he's with his mom, and they're at the wedding, they're at the wedding party. And then Mary, Jesus' mom, comes to him and says, "The wine is almost over." And Jesus responds to her saying, "Woman, what do you want me to do? My hour, my time has not yet come." And then Mary, she goes to the servants and she tells them, "Do whatever he tells you to do." And we see a beautiful image here where Jesus, God himself, God in the flesh, in a place of submission, in a place of honor to his mom, he obeys her and he performs the first miracle on earth. And I begin to think, maybe if Mary hadn't said that to Jesus, maybe that miracle would not have happened at that time, because he says to her, "My time has not come." But Jesus, God himself, he submits to his mom and he honors her word. It's so important for us, as the word teaches us, to honor our mothers, honor our fathers. And in this place, there is blessing. So Jesus, he submits to her word, and he performs the very first public miracle of his ministry. So Mary tells the servants, "Just do whatever he tells you to do." And then Jesus, in a place of honor and submission, he goes to the servants and he says, "Get these 6 water jars and fill the jars with water." And I love in the story, at least in the text, we don't see any questioning or any doubts from the servants. They just go into a place of obedience and action, and they do, as Mary said, they do what Jesus tells them to do. And they fill the jars with water. And then Jesus says, "Now that the jars are full, get some of the water and take it to the master." And once again, they are in obedience upon the word of Jesus, something that to them in their natural minds probably didn't make any sense at all. They probably were wondering, what is going to happen here? What is going on here? Jesus is telling us to get water, put it in a jar, and now take it to the master. What does this have to do with anything? But they choose, once again, as Jesus did to his mother, to submit to the word of the Lord and just to obey. Many times the things that God calls us to do, the words that God puts in our lives, won't make sense in our natural human minds. Sometimes we aren't able to see the end of the story. We can't see the whole picture, but God does. He knows the full story. And I have 3 kids. My 4th one is here. And oftentimes when I tell them to do things, they always are saying, "Why? Why this? Why that?" And a lot of times I take advantage of the moment. I teach them, I explain to them. But honestly, a lot of times I just say to them, "You don't need to know why. You just have to trust in your mom that I know better than you and just obey." Many times we need to do that with the Lord. We don't always have to have supernatural signs. We don't always have to know everything. We just simply have to trust that he is God. He is good. He is faithful. He knows better than we do. And we can trust him and just walk in submission and obedience. We don't need to know everything. We like to have everything under our control, in our way, but that's not how things work in the kingdom. We just need to trust. So the servants, they just trust. They just obey. They just do what Jesus tells them to do. And the text says that once the master gets the water and he tastes it, it's no longer water. It's wine. Jesus had performed a miracle of turning the water into wine. But it's so interesting because it was in partnership with the obedience and the submission of the servants. It wasn't a miracle that happened instantly where they could see themselves that the water had turned into wine, but walking in obedience upon his word and being faithful, Jesus performed the miracle. So many times, the miracles and the things that we need will happen as we walk in obedience, as we embrace the process of the Lord in our lives. God breaks through, God moves. And so, we don't need to know everything. We don't have to have things under control. We just need to submit. We just need to know who God is and know what He is capable of doing and rest in that. That is enough in itself. And so Jesus, He performed this miracle. And it's amazing because the master says, "What is this?" Everybody gives the best wine in the beginning of the party, and the lesser wine or the worst wine is saved for the end of the party once people are already satisfied and full and they don't have much of an understanding that what is good or what is not. But this time it's different. The best wine has been saved for last. And the word says in Ephesians 3:20 that God is faithful to do much more than we can ask, think, or imagine. That's how God works. He is faithful to do much more than we can imagine. Much more I think that of what the servants imagined in that moment, Jesus performed. And Jesus, He could have turned air into wine. He is powerful and sovereign. He didn't need water in jars to become wine. For Him, it was the same to turn air into wine. But He invites the servants into the process. And I think it's amazing that this story, it wasn't even the disciples. It was the servants that participated in the miracle of Jesus. So that shows us the importance as well of us being positioned in a place of serving. Serve your local church. Serve those around you. Serve your family. Serve your husband, your wife. Serve your children. And many times in this place, as we serve, as we surrender, as we sacrifice, we position ourselves in a place where God can do miracles and we can participate in what God is doing. So allow Him to use you even when it doesn't make sense. Walk in obedience. Walk in submission, even when you can't see the end of the story. And just trust that He is God. He is sovereign. His ways are higher. And position yourself in a place where you are serving and where you can participate in the works of Jesus here on earth.